The error of comma splice happens when two independent clauses are joined using a comma. Let's look at some examples. You see, this sentence has two independent clauses. This is one independent clause, and this is another independent clause, and the two have been separated by a comma. Remember, comma is not a strong enough punctuation for joining two independent clauses. This sentence suffers from the error of comma splice. One more sentence. Same problem. Two independent clauses joined by a comma. One more example. Same problem. Two independent clauses joined by a comma. An informal note here is that the error of comma splice generally happens when we write by the ear, and we tend to add a comma wherever we feel the need for a pause. Grammar is, however, of course, a lot more sophisticated. We can't just write by the ear and add a comma wherever we feel the need for a pause. So how do we correct the error of comma splice? There are three ways of correcting it. Number one is to replace comma with a semicolon. As explained earlier in this video, a semicolon is used for joining two independent clauses. So, straightforward way of correcting the error of comma splice, simply replace the comma with a semicolon. Another way is to add a period. This is when the split is very strongly defined. In this sentence, you see that the split is not very strong. There is an interdependence. Professor entered the class and the students were waiting for the professor, so period would not be the best way of correcting the error here from a meaning point of view. Also, remember, on the GMAT you always get one sentence in a sentence correction question, so you will never see a period somewhere in between. You will see only one period, which would be at the end of the sentence. Next way of correcting the error is to add a coordinating conjunction after the comma, the fanboys conjunction. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Look at this example. To correct this, one way can also be to add this coordinating conjunction to the comma here. Third way of correcting the error, adding a subordinate conjunction will turn the independent clause into a dependent clause. Let's understand this through an example. This is an incorrect sentence. This suffers from comma splice here. And if we add a subordinating conjunction, you see because has come here, and therefore because of this subordinating conjunction, this clause here, from here to here, is no longer an independent clause. Remember, a comma is strong enough for joining an independent clause with a dependent clause. Another way of doing this can be, look at this. In this case, we have when, a coordinating conjunction here, and in this case, in fact, the comma is removed. So these are the three ways of correcting the error of comma splice. The most common are these two. Third common grammatical construction error seen on the GMAT is the error of run-on. Run-on is an easier version of the comma splice error. The run-on error occurs when two independent clauses are joined without any punctuation or conjunctions. We saw some comma splices in the last slide. These three cases. The error of run-on is a more severe error, as there is not even a comma in these cases. So, in comma splice, we show some respect by having some punctuation, however inadequate. In run-on, we commit an even more serious error by having no punctuation whatsoever. How to correct run-on? The ways are exactly the same. How you correct comma splices is how you correct run-ons. First way, add a semicolon between the two independent clauses. The second way is to add a coordinating conjunction, this comma and here. And the third way is to add a subordinating conjunction, this because here. So if you can correct comma splices, you can of course correct the run-ons. This was the concept, friends. GMAT shots are deliberately kept brief. For an elaborate explanation, please watch the Stage 1 conceptual videos in our program. Thanks for watching.